So Sean
Hello.
works with me at REA.
Hi, Pete.
Sean, how you doing? What's your name? Where do you work? Which I've just answered for you. And what do you do?
So I'm currently the mobile tech lead at REA. What I do basically these days is not particularly interesting. So I basically go around different meeting room, talking, whiteboarding, not so much coding. Yes.
That sounds very familiar.
Yeah.
So, similar line of questioning. How many times have you been to Coco Heads?
So this is the second time I've been to Coco Head in Australia. I've been to Coco Head before when I was in Hong Kong. I originally from Hong Kong. So Coco Head is like quite big worldwide. So it's like there's one in Hong Kong, so I used to go. And then this is my second time that I've been to in Melbourne.
So you came last month?
I came, about 3 years ago?
Nice.
Yes.
So you came 3 years ago.
Yep.
Clearly had a wonderful time.
Well, I can talk a little bit about that. So what happened last time? I remember that was in the outwear office. So I walk in, there's no air conditioning. It's pretty warm, and then I don't know why they stopped serving cold drinks. So there's only like warm drink available. So I started sitting there, listening to the first talk with my warm drink and no air conditioning. I started feeling a little bit dizzy and really suffocating, and that's why I decided, okay, this is not for me. Yes.
Nice. Awesome. So, beyond Coco Heads, you're at REA, you're mobile tech lead, did you say?
Yes.
Yes. You said that you grew up in Hong Kong?
Yes, I grew up
So
in
you
Hong
grew up in Hong Kong. How did you get from growing up in Hong Kong to mobile tech lead at REA?
Oh, that is a very long story. So I started getting my first computer around the age of 17. It's like a 486 running Windows 3.1.
So you said 7? Or
17.
1-7?
Yes.
At the age of 1-7?
Yes.
Nice.
Yes. So that might be revealing a little bit of my age. So, and from that point onward, I got really passionate about user interface, even though it's Windows 3.1. When I say I'm really passionate about it, what I mean by that is that I really love changing my wallpaper, my icons, and changing the toolbar and stuff like that.
Next have blown your mind.
So the way I changed it is like, because back then I can't really afford a Macintosh, and everyone said Macintosh is amazing. So I tried all my best to change my Windows 3.1 to look like a Mac OS, basically. Changing all the icons, even having that little interesting menu bar at the top. Yeah, that's pretty fun. Modifying the System32, modifying the whatever INI file they have in Windows.
I'm sure your computer booted every time.
Well, I can't remember how many times I reinstalled it, yes. Using the disk? Yes.
So in Hong Kong, you're mucking around with Windows, modifying the UI. Did you then go, I want to develop for Apple products? What happened in between?
So what happened in between is I went into uni and started studying internet and multimedia technology. So, because I really got passionate about something visual. So with that program in uni, I basically got to learn a little bit about 3D modeling, filmmaking, audio editing, and a bit of like game development and stuff like that. But then after uni, I went into my first career with something very different. So I ended up working in a private bank, sitting not in the IT department, but in the trading department with a bunch of stockbroker. So if you have ever seen like people working on the trading floor in exchange, the yelling, throwing paper, that's exactly where I used to work.
Did you throw paper?
I got thrown.
People threw paper
Yes,
at you.
Exactly.
That is amazing. I've got
So-
lots of questions about that
so-
for another time.
Yes. So at some point, someone gave me like an Excel spreadsheet that can actually trade stock into the exchange. So I used my power because I know a little bit about programming. I can do VB6. So with Excel spreadsheet, so I started doing my own trading and trading for the client, make a few mistakes, lost a few million, stuff like that.
Lost a few million.
And so that got to the point that I understand that, you know what, I need to do this a little bit more properly. I need to join a proper team and learn how to build software in scale. So I did that for 6 years, continued working in banks. And then meanwhile, iPhone came out. So I bought my first iPhone, iPhone 3G? Yep. So with the first SDK. So I really love doing, having these user interface on my hand. So that's why I bought the phone. Hopefully I can write some app that can work for myself. So I started looking into the documentation, how to write an app. Objective-C back then, obviously. So I read those documents with all these square brackets. I thought that they're just like notation, like bold, italic. I don't really understand what they are because I came from a background that I used to do a lot of Java and .NET. So that syntax just completely alien to me. And then further looking into like how to do interface, drag and drop in interface builder, and then, oh, you know what, you actually need to hold your mouse and then drag this line from your code to your IP. It's like, oh, I don't actually know what I'm doing, so I gave up actually. so I gave up, can't deal with that too hard. And 2 months later, as I continue using my iPhone, I found it, oh, you know what, this thing is amazing. I really, really want to invest some time to write my own app. There's something I really want to have on that phone. So there's like, again, going back to it, just like take it more seriously, actually doing it. Okay, I'm committed to it and do it. So yeah, so I used to do that after work. So I still have my day job, and then after my day job at night, I would just like sit in front of my Mac and start doing a lot of these, and really enjoy that time. So it was a really fun time.
Nice. So you have a long background
Yes.
as a professional developer who didn't start out their career with even the iPhone into existence. Then you made the jump into mobile development. Was REA your first mobile role?
Actually, it is. So after working in the banking environment for 6 years, I decided that that's not for me, and I moved to Australia. So I joined ThoughtWorks to start with. So ThoughtWorks is quite diverse, but they somehow ended up finding out that I can write apps, so started putting me on doing a lot of mobile app projects. So I work with Domino's, Woolworths, and NBN, Target, and then, so that was back in Sydney, and then I moved to Melbourne afterwards, and the first client that they sent me to is to Geelong. So I worked from Melbourne to Geelong commuting for a year. And then after that, I was like, you know what, I can't do that anymore. So it's like, and then somehow REA was looking for people. It's like, you know what, I'm going to join REA. I heard that it's a really great company, great culture. So that was like my first full-time mobile role as a mobile developer.
Nice, yes. Awesome. That's a pretty incredible journey.
Yeah,
for someone that
fun.
Is now a mobile tech lead that just wants to change wallpapers on their iPhone. That's what you go to all these meetings for, yes?
Yes, yes.
Awesome. One question for someone who has a background in non-mobile development. Do you see, this is my opinion, do you see mobile engineers kind of coming across as like the first time they're coming up against UI problems, UI developer design patterns and stuff like this?
It's very interesting. I think it's just history repeating itself. So even before the iOS development, this idea of like building apps, like very stable apps with a lot of model, that kind of thing, that happened before the iOS or mobile time. So all these patterns that people are debating about these days, MVC, MVP, MVVM, whatever it is, it's all before the iOS time. So that happened. So, and then you see that mobile started, and then people going down that same path to talk about that same thing again and again and again. And it's like, pretty interesting. But one of the big shifts I've seen in recent years is like a lot of the functional programming concept got picked up again, and those paradigm becomes quite interesting. It's something I think that wasn't really applicable in the past because of technology and the limitation of those languages.
Awesome. All right, wrapping up, final question, same question as before.
Yep.
A productivity tool or life hack
don't really have any tools, but I actually have think about it the opposite way. Never use a reminder app. And if I cannot remember that means it's not important enough. Just forget about it. If it's really important, it will come back to you again, so you don't need a reminder app.
This explains so many meetings that you have not attended. Awesome. Thank you very much, Sean. That's a wrap.